The former president also describing his supporters who attacked the Capitol on that day, which left 5 people dead, this way.
They were there with love in their heart. That was an unbelievable, and it was a beautiful...
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We're going to have a good one today. I'm sure there is going to be an extreme reaction from some of you. That being said, that clip that we just played highlights today's topic of the contradiction that is Trump. On one hand, he has at least 5 dead bodies to his count and says that everything was peaceful. I'm curious what would happen if so much as 1/10 of that crowd showed up at Mar-a-Lago. I wonder if he would think that was peaceful. I've got another clip here I want to show you. I'm going to bring it in. Another contradiction. And I'm going to let it roll here.
The IG did not interview Barr or former White House officials or investigate the actions of the Secret Service. There's also the matter of why the decision was made to fortify the area against BLM protesters when the response at the Capitol in January was clearly different.
Okay. Yeah, there's just so many things wrong with what they just did. They had peaceful protesters sitting in Lafayette Park, unarmed, unlike the January 6th crowd that was known to be armed, that the Secret Service identified weapons with. The protesters in Lafayette Park were armed with candy bars, water bottles, and whatever else they could be carrying, but it surely wasn't guns. There were no guns taken away from those people. They used local police, Capitol Police, and National Guard to push back peaceful protesters and used CS gas and mini grenades that had rubber pellets in them. God. Against unarmed people. The contradiction is just ridiculous, so that he could hold up a Bible and say how peaceful he was and such a Christian person he was. There are rumors, there were comments that he asked about shooting the protesters in the legs. Unarmed protesters being shot in the legs. Well, there's a thing called the femoral artery. So let's talk about lower food prices. His campaign was on lowering food prices. He battered up against the Democrats all the time he was out there about the price of eggs, while J.D. Vance once stood in front of a display of, I think there were 24 packs of eggs pre-wrapped, and talking about how the price was like $12 or $15, but the sign behind him said $6. But I digress. And then immediately after he was elected, an interview with Kristen Welker from Meet the Press, he clearly stated that he had no control over the price of eggs or food. He couldn't control that. That was going to have to wait for later on. The promise that he made to end the Ukrainian war. This is hilarious as far as I'm concerned. He said he could get it done before he was even in office. You know, elect me, and during my inauguration, I'll already have it done. 24 hours, whatever the nonsense was that he put out. And now we are in day 15, I believe we're at the count, day 15 or day 16. And just a couple of days ago, he kind of put it on China, that he wants him to step forward and help out with the negotiations because he's a good friend of Putin's. Wait, I thought you and Putin had a bromance going. I thought you said you were going to end the war, you were going to have a talk with Putin, and that was going to be it. Art of the deal. Now, 2 weeks later, people still dying, and you're asking yet a third country to become involved who just signed an alliance with Putin. Why would China want to do you a favor? They got you to say you were going to ask them to help, and they sit back laughing at you. But let's go on. He says there's going to be no more wars. He says no more wars. Geez, just the other day, in front of the last person he probably should have done it in front of, he said, well, you know, the Gaza Strip has got a really nice area. Why don't we go in with the military and we'll own it. We'll just take it, and we're going to push out 2.3 million people, and we're going to clear the land and build great and glorious hotels, and I'm going to have a resort there. I think that's a wonderful idea. I want to own it. One, pushing 2.3 million people out, you're not going to do without a military force. Two, that's called genocide. Okay, I'm sure you know the word. You studied Hitler, and I believe that word was used with Hitler's name. Three, You said that Jordan and Egypt were going to take those people, and they immediately responded back that that wasn't going to happen. Cold day in hell, I think was the term. Yeah, no more wars, but let's go take over a country in a place that would be convenient for you to have a nice resort in, but that's had war since day one of Jesus Christ. That the wars in that part of the country have been fought in the name of God since before Jesus. Let's not say you're going to. The contradiction is what I'm getting at here. And then the vacillation of tariffs. Tariffs on, tariffs off, maybe tariffs, maybe no tariffs. You get laughed at, you get held up, and you tried to go up against Canada and Mexico, and neither one of them blinked, but you did. You pulled back the tariffs. Now you're going to throw the tariffs back out. You have the EU actually going to China to look for resources because they're not going to pay your tariffs. They're not going to pay tariffs coming in, and they're not going to allow the American people to pay the tariffs coming into our country. They're not going to try and sell a steel that's artificially overpriced because of your tariffs. It's not going to happen. You're trying to rewrite history, and it's not going to work for you. There's enough out there going on in the legal processes, in the courts, in the streets. There's protests starting across the nation now. You know, the left is usually a pretty docile kind of group of people. Kind of lay back, we kind of keep our mouths shut until you just push us a little bit too far. And then you didn't like what you got last time during the Vietnam War. I don't think the kids are going to let you like what they got coming for you now. The protests are going to be out there. You, by the way, you want to lower the price of food, you might want to reconsider the immigration, sending people to an internment camp in Cuba at Guantanamo Bay. Yeah, that's an internment camp. That's all you're doing. You got it down there so that none of the reporters here in the United States can report on it, and nobody can see what's going on, and nobody has contact with these people. But you got a couple of your Republican influencers, your MAGA influencers, who's, I believe it's 2 now, that have had their spouses taken, and they are really out there pitching. They're raising a ruckus, but I don't think you like that, do you? But anyways, I got a small B-roll here for you at the end. I'm going to let that play and let you enjoy that. Yeah, like I said, there's going to be a few people not happy here today. So I guess all I can say at this point in time is I've called out the contradiction that is Trump. I've called out the contradictions that he's made, that he said one thing and did another. Not just one, not just 2, not just 3, but 4 or 5. And I gave you the receipts. I gave you the videos. So please, MAGA, sit down, have the popcorn, have your Kool-Aid, and relax for a little while. With that, folks, I'm going to call it a night. I thought that was important to get this out here, especially at this moment in time. My subscribers, again, thank you so much. You are really helping me build this channel. I'm really seeing the progress. I do want you to know that I see you, I hear you, I'm reading your comments. I'm trying to get back to all of you. If any of you have anything that you want to, there's a part down there where you can just leave me a note. Let me know what's going on, okay? But with that, folks, I'm going to say thank you and have a wonderful night.